Welcome back to the Stack Shack Sports Show. We're talking Cowboys today. America's team, right? Everybody loves them or hates them. They had some key losses, some big losses, some big names, some names we know about, right? Tony Pollard moves on, right? They had Zeke. They said, we don't need Zeke anymore. Let's go with Tony Pollard. He plays one season. Now they're off of Tony Pollard, and guess what? Zeke's back. Who would have thought that was going to happen? So Pollard gone. Stephon Gilmore, well-known player for a Super Bowl play, but has been a very solid DB for a very good Dallas defense. And then they also lost Tyron Smith, who has been an anchor at tackle position for what, over the past 10 years, has been one of the better offensive lines in football. Now, they immediately addressed that with their first pick, bringing in Tyler Guyton, right? And then they also addressed offensive line with their third pick, Cooper Beebe, who is named the starter as well. So they pick him up. He was a guard, could play center. He is playing center and looking good and gonna start. And then they bring back Zeke Elliott. So it's a weird situation, right? Those are the key losses and additions. Last season, they were 12-5. They won 12 games last year. And they just got beat at home in the wild card round by an on-fire Packers Jordan Love-led team. PFF grades them highly on offense, highly on defense. I mean, this is a top 5 team offense and defense by PFF. Go back through all these videos. I've had these ratings on all of them. I don't think you're going to find this much consistency, right? It's just not playing out well for them in the playoffs, right? They're 5th-ranked defense, 4th-ranked offense. They feel great. They win 12 games. They get to the wild card game, but they got home field advantage, and they get beat. Now, it got a little closer at the end because of what I would consider some junk time stuff, but it's starting to look like the end of the what I would call the modern era, the Dak Prescott years of Dallas. Those years have been defined by Tyron Smith at tackle, Zeke running the ball early in Dak's career. Now, they did sign CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you could almost put him under the additions category, but I didn't. Getting him signed was a huge deal. Now, did they pay a lot of money for him? Yes. And that contract is going to hurt. Dak's going to want more money. Micah Parsons is wanting money. They just feel to me like they're getting shallower and shallower. The depth is not there. I mean, you look at the running back room. There's a reason they had to go get Ezekiel Elliott, a player they had let go, because they couldn't afford him and didn't want to pay him another contract, and they felt better with Tony Pollard. He then comes back the next season, and they jettison Tony Pollard. We're looking at Zeke, an older running back who really was not even that productive in New England last season. Now, New England was awful on offense just in general, so I don't want to hold all of that against him. There's a reason Bill Belichick doesn't have a job right now. But still, it's Zeke who's old. Everybody would agree he's not in his prime. I think he would even admit he's not in his prime. Then you've got, I don't know, Deuce Vaughn, a draft pick who's like small little running back out of Kansas State. I mean, I love the guy. I loved him in college. He was so much fun. Loved the story. A late round draft pick. Yeah. You got last season's backup running back, but the depth just isn't there. Look at the wide receivers. It's CeeDee Lamb and then who? I mean, who are we talking about? I mean, there are receivers on the roster, obviously, but they're not big name guys. There's not guys that have shown a lot of productivity. And then because you lost Tyron Smith, you had to go heavy offensive line. And that offensive line is aging as well, right? These were offensive linemen that were young, fresh at their prime when they drafted Dak, when you had, Tony Romo kind of move out and Dak come in, that's the prime years of the offensive line. It's starting to deteriorate. Your tackle, who's been an anchor for the entire team, I mean, you can go look at the stats. If he doesn't play, that offensive line is not the same. He moves on, so you immediately have to address center and tackle in the draft. I applaud the Cowboys for doing that. Games are won in the trenches. But I'm also seeing the beginnings of the end, it feels like. It feels like last season was the year for the Cowboys. Everybody else is kind of catching up. Now, the Eagles having a bit of a regression at the end of the year last season does help them in division. But we just talked about the Commanders. I think the Commanders are going to be better. And I think they might have found their quarterback of the future. If they did, be careful, Cowboy fans. So, as far as important games are concerned, I think week 1 at the Browns. Got to go to Cleveland with potentially starting 2 rookie offensive linemen. We'll see how it exactly happens. There's still time before that game, but not much, and it's looking like you're going to be starting multiple rookie offensive linemen, and Myles Garrett's still there. So we'll see pretty quick how these boys can handle what should be a pretty good defensive front in Cleveland, and they're going to be excited. Cleveland fans are pretty passionate. So week 1 at the Browns, I think we're going to learn a lot. Then I really don't have a lot to look at until week 8, where they have to go at 49ers. You'll notice the at 49ers, at Browns, some of these out-of-division games, it's tough. Obviously, 49ers, Cowboys, it's the rivalry. And so week 8, I'm very curious to see how they do. And then I put in week 17 and 18. Okay. Notice with week 18, Commanders we talked about, I didn't have their matchup against the Cowboys as one of their most important games. I don't think they needed to be. But the Cowboys, you have to win in week 18. And week 17 is going to be tough. Going to Philadelphia, potentially the division's on the line in week 17. That's going to be a big game. A lot of playoff implications if the Cowboys are a playoff team, which I'm not sure they are. I just don't feel good about them. Now, this bit me last season. Last season, I didn't feel good about the Cowboys, and they won 12 games. Now, they finally showed the weaknesses that I thought they had in the first round of the playoffs when Jordan Love absolutely decimated them. But I just don't feel the Cowboys again this season. Now, again, it burned me last year. I think I had them finishing second to last or last in the division. I was really worried about a lot of different issues. I felt like the defense wasn't going to be as good. It turned out it was pretty good. So, I've been wrong on the Cowboys before, but these are some big pieces to lose. I think the Tyron Smith is the one I have circled the most. So week 17, big game against the Eagles. It's their away game against the Eagles. And then week 18, depending on how the season goes, is this going to be the arrival of Jaden Daniels and the Commanders as a new division contender? Or is it going to be the Cowboys take care of business and say, no, not yet. Not yet. We still got Dak. He's very serviceable. I still got CDs. Micah Parsons is a great player. We are still the Dallas Cowboys. We're not going to lose to the Washington Commanders. So I think week 17 just is going to be a tough one, and then week 18 is going to be the interesting one. It could be the arrival of the Commanders as a new division favorite or division contender at least, or Cowboys take care of business and say, no. The era of the Cowboys is not over. We are still a good, solid football team, and we are going to continue being a good football team. You're going to still have to go through us to win the division. So those are my thoughts. Cowboys fans, let me know what you think, and we'll see you tomorrow.